Welcome back, hosers. Things are slowing down in the garden a little bit this weekend. All I really need to do is pick my potatoes, check on my tomatoes and peppers, and I'm going to show you what happens when you plant a bunch of potatoes and then walk away and ignore them and just let them do their thing. And you don't mound up, you don't do anything. I'll show you some of my garlic that we planted last week is sprouting. Before I start poking around inside under the soil, I'm going to start by picking the potatoes that are sitting right on top. None of these are going to be edible because they've all gone green and they're producing solanine. This one's been chewed on by grasshoppers. But I may be able to use these as seed potatoes if they last through the winter. So I'm gonna pick them up and store them anyway. Considering how late I planted my potatoes, some of these are actually a pretty respectable size. So that's good news. I wasn't completely up in the night planting potatoes in the summer. Looking for my easy potatoes first, because when I get in here with a pitchfork, things are just gonna get risky for the potatoes. All right, that's all the easy ones. So now I'm just going to pull back my drip tape and start digging. And I consider these plants done. So I can't think of a way to do potatoes that's no dig. Because they're things that grow underground. Wow, this ground is still so wet considering I've had my irrigation turned off to this bed. Aha! Potato. So I did get some potatoes, but as you can see, my potato growth was almost entirely at the surface. Since I didn't do any mounding up, they are all green potatoes. Ideally, from now on, I think I'm going to be growing in containers because that was just way easier last time I grew potatoes to harvest them from the containers. So the potatoes were a disappointment, but that's gardening. You don't always get what you planted. Sometimes you just learn a lesson. I do have some jalapenos that I should pick a little early because we are almost in the throes of winter, and I'm also going to pull these flowers off because it's too late, guys. It's too late. I know you got a slow start. This is all you get. So picking off the flowers is going to encourage the plant to spend its energy on finishing what it started instead of spending a lot of time on something it will never have time to finish. So here is some garlic coming up. Got a point here, points there. The focus this time of year is to have garlic happening beneath the surface. We want the roots to develop in preparation for spring. This top growth is going to get frost burned over the winter, but the garlic should still grow fine. And next to the garlic is a veritable feast of greens. Komatsuna, mibuna, and tatsoi. I think now that it's developed somewhat, there are definite differences in leaf texture. Mibuna, I'm not a big fan of. Maybe I'll cook with it, but for raw eating, it's not my favorite. Komatsuna, the leaves get a little bit big. They're still actually pretty tender though. But by far the winner for mature foliage is tatsoi. It has amazing texture. It's like spinach you can grow in warmer weather and it won't bolt. So tatsoi recommended, do the stuff. Things are happening at the pea trellis. Not a lot of things, but I might get some snap peas before frost kills these plants. Peas are very frost tolerant, so we'll hold out some hope. They don't appear to be doing the best job ever climbing my little homemade pea trellis though. So I'm thinking I probably would have done well to use thinner sticks. And over here in this bed, it is a little slice of brassica heaven. We've got lots of big happy mibuna. In fact, these are the plants that I germinated indoors and then transplanted out. So you can see that the mibuna has benefited from being thinned. It's not as tightly packed here. There was some natural thinning that happened just from germinating it indoors and then transplanting it out individually. The komatsuna is also rocking out. And over here at the border, under the protective shade of the komatsuna, I've got more tatsoi. So until the frost kills them, I'm going to be eating lots and lots of greens. What are you? Are you a stick insect? Look at that little bug. No, that was definitely not a stick insect. Cool looking though. And remarkably, I still have a lot of growth happening over here on my tomatoes. It's been really quite cold at night, so I'm a little bit surprised. I need to pull off a lot of this new growth because they are trying really hard to keep doing what tomatoes do. But I've still got some vine ripening in progress. So that's really good news. This is the time of year where every day you're still getting something off your tomato plants is just kind of a blessing at this point, because it's the end of September and nights are getting too cold for tomatoes to stay happy. So just being grateful for my tomatoes right now. So did we learn some things in the garden today? Well, I learned that I probably could have mounded up my potatoes because more of those would have been usable for something other than seed potatoes if I'd done that. I planted these when I did, where I did, just because I had a bunch of seed potatoes that were gonna go to waste anyway. The timing was just off. There was no way they were gonna keep until the following year. So now I have fresher seed potatoes, which might last until spring. Fingers crossed. I got some jalapenos today. We've been making green tomato salsa with some of the green tomatoes that we have. And jalapenos are definitely a thing we can use for that. As we move into the introspective part of the year, where we do all of our planning and thinking about how things went and how we'd like things to go, the pace of my videos is going to change. So expect to see some science videos rearing their head. We can talk about the science of greenhouses. We can talk about soil chemistry and why it's so important to your plants, including soil pH and soil structure. Thank you for joining me in my garden, and I hope you have a wonderful time while you can in your own.